Yes, New Super Mario Bros. Wii, the game that has taken way too much time out of my childhood, which is still ongoing, by the way. I came back to play through this game yet again because in February I thought it would be a great idea to do a full commentated Star Coin guide for it. And in order to do so, I had to play through the whole flipping game. And here's how that went. So I was having a pretty good time until I got to here. See, in order to get this star coin, you need to be inside this pipe. But if you're too slow for whatever reason, then you have to wait an absurdly long amount of time. Like, seriously. And this is a good time to talk about Nintendo's design philosophy, which is honestly so confusing and random I can't even begin to understand it. But here's my best guess. I think instead of actually wanting to innovate, Nintendo is just like, this is the game. There will be no changes made to it. There's going to be the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's get to the actual gameplay experience itself. 1-1 is your typical grasslands plains level, and honestly, even though it is boring, I can't really say anything bad about it because it does teach the player the basic mechanics of the game. The beginning of 1-2 introduces you to the invisible wall mechanic. Wait, did I hear that right? Invisible wall mechanic? So you're telling me there's just random walls that you can just go through in New Super Mario Bros. Wii? Yeah. I mean, I guess it's fine as long as you don't put anything important about it. But was that a star coin? So apparently, Nintendo thought it was a good idea to put star coins, something that you need in order to beat the game, behind an invisible wall. It's actually not that bad because invisible walls do have relatively clear indicators. They're normally indented into the wall and have a circular shape to them. But still, it's not that bad. Anyways, moving on, 1-3 introduces us to Hammer Bros. And then after you finish that stage, Toad comes to you and says, Mario, we got bad news. We get a letter from Bowser Jr. This letter does two crucial things. The first reveals that Bowser's family is racist, and the second introduces us to a crucial gimmick of the game via a very violent cutscene. Basically, if you go back into 1-1 now, you have to save a Toad and you can get lives for it. Also, I kinda lied about the crucial part. Very crucial. And honestly, the rest of World 1 is pretty boring. 1-4 decided it was a good idea to give you ice flowers instead of the penguin suit, which is a power-up that lets you swim in water 10 billion times easier. 1-5 takes place in the sky with mushroom platforms, and 1-6 is basically 1-1, but there's more rolling hills and it's harder. 1-Castle is the only level in the entire game with these gear things, which I guess some bonus points for uniqueness there. But honestly, aside from a few small changes, each tower and castle really feels the same as the next, with just a slightly harder coat of paint put onto it. And most of the boss fights in the entire game are also pretty stale, so I'm just not even going to talk about them except for the final one. Now on to World 2. I honestly feel like 2-1 was swapped out with 2-2 on accident. See, the point of 2-1's existence is to show off these sandspout things. They are pretty nifty, but make the level in general feel pretty unnatural, especially for the introduction to a world. 2-2 shows off these barrels that you can pick up in order to throw them at enemies. Now this doesn't really make the level too unnatural, I guess the word is, at least compared to the sandspouts. By the way, in this screenshot, there is an area you're supposed to go in order to obtain a star coin. You probably guessed down the waterfall, but seriously, where's the indicators? Like, am I supposed to know because the checkpoint flag? Or maybe these? Or maybe the ice flower that you can find in that question block? Or maybe these bricks? Well, I don't know what's supposed to tell me to go down here, but there is a star coin at the bottom of this pit. And it's actually pretty difficult to get to. 2-3 is a slightly better version of making an entire level out of those invisible walls. And 2-Castle shows off this great mechanic. Yeah. You like the pun I did there? 2-4 is the wind stage, and for some reason nobody likes wind stages, but I thought it was pretty cool. I just loved the sheer chaos that came with not being able to control your position in the wind, or at least if you were, it was pretty hard to do. And 2-5 shows off Pokies, and there's the Yoshi in it. But do we really need an entire level to show off a Pokey? Well, no, we don't actually, because we also need to throw spikes at the player while they're learning about Pokies as well. May I introduce you to Likitu, the single most annoying enemy in this entire game, depending on who you ask. However, the satisfaction that you get when you take a Lakitu's Cloud and start riding it around is very good. But the third star coin in the stage is, it's just over here. Like, Lakitus can't even spawn over here. You have to get it from earlier and then go over. And there's no way to tell it's there either. You just have to guess. And that's my problem with New Super Mario Bros. Wii. At some points, the game just isn't even fun anymore. Some of the secrets are just so annoyingly hard to find on your own that sometimes it just doesn't even feel worth it to try and find them. There is a fine line between fun and creative, and downright stupid. And New Super Mario Bros. Wii as a whole is sometimes very close to crossing this line. And I understand that you'd want to push your game as close to that line as possible, for replayability and things. But New Super Mario Bros. Wii gets a little too close. Anyways, now we got 2-6, and oh look, another mushroom level! And 2-Castle is one of my favorite auto-scroller levels I've ever played. But to new players, it is pretty badly designed. It's basically pick a path. If you pick the wrong path, you go back to the start of the area, but if you pick the right path, you go to a new area. And there's not really that many indicators to tell you which path is right or wrong. Except for the fact that the right path, the right path is often the hardest one. Actually, always the hardest one. And that is a perfectly fine way to do it. But let's not forget our demographic here. Small children. Now, saying this might be slapping the game in the face an unnecessary extra time, but a small child who doesn't understand indicators might just take the easiest path over and over and over. Yeah, I should probably take that back. I actually quite like World 3. It's the snow world and I can relate to it. And it introduces us to the all-new power-up of the penguin suit. This power-up lets you slide on ice, swim in water faster, slide on water, and it's even perfect for people who don't like ice levels because it removes the slippiness of the ice when you're walking on it. So then why'd you have to wait till World 3 to use it? Like, why couldn't I have it here? In all honesty, I do understand this decision because that's really the only underwater level in those two worlds, because World 2 is a desert. So I can understand the decision of waiting to show it off to World 3, but I just don't agree with it. Anyways, the second part of World 3-1 is like the best thing in the world, and then 3-2 forgets ice exists, and 3-3 remembers. Anyway, so I'm probably going to stop talking about individual levels just because it kind of takes up time, and we get the point that they're getting repetitive, and I just kind of wanted to show that. But before we stop talking about every level, there is one more thing I'd like to touch up on in World 3. Actually, two things. The first being ghost houses. Boo houses suck, okay? Ghost houses are basically just a giant house filled with ghosts and invisible walls. And also, there's the star coins behind the invisible walls. On top of the invisible walls, everything randomly comes to life. Random doors don't work. Oh, also, by the way, they're mostly set up kind of like weird mazes, but only with one route. And also, they're often built in such a way to pace them super slowly, so you have to take 8 years to get through them. Oh, and if you don't have a guide at your side while playing these levels, just check every single wall in the entire stage on that 8-year journey. Also, every single ghost house in this game has a secret exit, which is basically a path that takes you down an alternate route to skip some portion of the game. Speaking of secret exits, did you know that we already skipped over 3 of them? One is in 1-3. And guess what? There's no indicators to where a secret exit is on the world map. You just kind of gotta be like, there is a cannon here. And I don't think they would put a ladder coming down from the castle. And 1-2 seems too far of a distance. Oh, and there's also a black dot there, meaning there's a level there. So maybe it's 1-3, or maybe a dot just extends off of 1-4 and it comes down to the Along with the secret exit that we missed in 1-3, we also missed one in 2-4 and 2-6. I know it sounds bad, but the only reason that would ever affect you is if you're unable to look up a guide. So I would highly recommend playing through this game and being prepared to pull out a guide. You might think it's against the spirit of what you're trying to do, which is to find things and, explore around. But trust me, it'll make the game a way more fun experience if you just let someone teach you if you're lost. And now, off to World 4. The last world where penguin suits are in a significant, quantities. Didn't you just say they introduced them in World 3? Yeah, that's right. Only 2 of the 9 worlds in the game have more than one level that the penguin suit appears in their world. I wonder how much money it cost Nintendo to code the penguin suit. World 4 overall is a pretty solid world. It's just unfortunate that the majority of the time you're probably not going to have the penguin suit. Oh yeah, and the castle also has a secret exit, and the Boo House is one of the most annoying stages in the entire game. And also there's something about the castle I don't like. I can't put my finger on it, I just don't enjoy playing through this level. Excuse me, there's another level? An airship? What? I think this clip from my playthrough summons up this level pretty good. I'm honestly distracted from the foreground because the background looks so beautiful, because I've never noticed it before. Man, that's a really cool background. World 5 does have a relatively unique gimmick to it. It's those vines. And when I say gimmick, I mean it only appears in one level. Oh, sorry, when I said vine gimmick, I meant the vines on the world map that periodically block your access to certain levels. As a casual observer, I love this idea. I like how the vines discourage you from playing the numbers in their numerical order, because there are a lot of split paths on the world map. But even with them, players will most likely choose the number that goes in order. And I like how the vines can sometimes shake up that order. But as someone who is trying to make a Starcoin guide and making it easier on myself to edit these by putting the levels in the correct order, Nintendo, why can't I just go up? Why can't I just do 5-2 before I do 5-3? Why do you have to force me to play these levels out of order? It's gonna be a nightmare to edit! Oh, and this world has a ghost house. World 6's world map is dope. Like, look at this. You're literally walking up an entire mountain in order to get to the world's castle. Like, this is just so cool. I bet the levels here are gonna be so good. Do I really need to say anything? This is slow, annoying, unfun, and everything. I believe good design in a game lets the player go at whatever pace they want, regardless of what they're trying to do in the game. But these rock ladders are so clunky, I can't even jump off of them. I just have to sit there and slowly wait for Mario to ascend. Oh, and not only are you painfully slow, but there's also obstacles being thrown at you at the same time that, depending on when you go, are unavoidable. A few levels later, and you make it into a basin with this fish, and oh my gosh, this level is paced so fast. But wait, there's these random things slowing you down. This level is actually really good though. This is one of my favorites in the world. Actually, probably my favorite level in the world. Aside from one other level, every other level in World 6 has one of two major problems. The first problem is the levels being too slow, or they're just downright not fun to play. 6-1 is the level I was talking about earlier. 6-2 has some fairly confined areas, which makes it just not that fun to be in. And the open areas don't really have anything to make them unique. 6-3 has one of the coolest tile sets in the game, but lacks what, in my opinion, are necessary indicators for certain things like star coins. 6-4 is that exception I was talking about. It's a pretty good level. But 6-Tower pace locks you like this. Yeah, you can't really go through that without taking damage, and you have to wait for it to recede, just like that, every single time. In this section, you literally have to shoot through pipes and wait for this thing to get out of the way. I know timing challenges are supposed to be kinda fun, but I just feel like this is too much, especially in an entire level based around this gimmick. 6-5 is good, and it also has a secret exit that you're probably never gonna find. Let me just casually just kind of jump right here next to this fish. Oh wow, that's a hidden vine. Oh wow, look at this bonus area that I'm never gonna find without a guide. 6-6 takes place in a cave on a raft going through water. You technically could swim through the water to get to the end quicker, but it's just so unfair that there's fish everywhere and you can't see a thing. And actually, 6-Castle isn't too bad either. This section is actually pretty cool. And yeah, that's World 6. Wait a second, there's another airship. Wow, this level totally isn't locking my pace at all by not letting me move the screen when I want to, and instead auto-scrolling on its own at a very slow rate of speed. World 7 takes place in the clouds, and I really like it. Unlike World 6, almost every level is introducing some sort of new gimmick. Not all of them I like, but I do like how Nintendo's actually taking risks for a change. Rainbow platforms of coolness. Water bubbles. These are really fun as well. Look at this, I can swim in the air. A tower where you use this lift to climb up it using motion controls. That's pretty cool. Excluding the secret exit you're never going to find. That's not very well designed. Let's not forget your typical ghost house hiding a secret exit. The second half of 7-4 is probably my favorite part of this world. Basically, you use your Wii remote and then tilt it in different directions to make these platforms move in different ways. It has some really interesting potentials to it, and I feel like Nintendo used them pretty well. But the rest of the level is just moving pipes, and I'm not a huge fan of that. Most people probably hate this level, but I actually like it. These guys are blowing clouds and they block your vision, and honestly, it's not too bad. And look at this, World 7 is the only world with an actual unique castle that's outside and in the clouds. Now that I can really respect. It should have been done earlier, but at least it's been done at all. Oh, and also the first cool Koopaling fight. I think Nintendo was really had a lot of coffee and stuff while making this world, or conceiving it. It's pretty cool. And it seems the game has peaked because World 8 kind of goes a little bit downhill. I think we can all agree that cave levels are kind of not as good as overworld levels in Mario. Let's just do a quick count. Alright, so 8-2 is a cave level, 8-3 is a cave level, 8-4 is an underwater cave level that's dark. Wow, didn't I say I didn't like any of those things? And not just me, these are pretty common throughout people that I've heard. And 8-6 is a cave level, but we don't talk about it because it's actually good. I love 8-Tower's boss. Kamek is really cool. Basically what... Wait. What gender is... Kamek? Is that how you spell it? Got it. His boss fight is really cool because he can turn these platforms into literally anything. This boss fight is really surprising and a bunch of really interesting things can happen during it. Here's a few examples. Alright, I'm just gonna let Kamek get that first hit on the thing. Come up here, come up here. No, that's a new one. Mine sporadically because I didn't feel like Great boss fight, and I'm not being sarcastic. Although my favorite level in World 8 would have to go to 8-7. It can be unlocked by yet another very clear secret exit in 8-2, and it is a roller coaster riding stage where you have to ride this bone coaster all the way to the end of the level. This is the time where we talk about good auto-scrollers, because this is exactly what it is. It's fast-paced, it's actional, and it doesn't force me to sit and wait around for the next thing. It is right there, right in front of me, and it also gives me a few breaks if I need to stop destroying everything. That didn't come out. Overall, 10 out of 10 level, probably my favorite level in World 8, and one of my favorites in the game. At the end of the airship level, Peach gets stolen, and you're like, oh wait, this isn't the final level of the game, what a surprise. And then you witness this insane cutscene. Wow, so scary. So scary, dude. And this is the final stage of the game. It's probably pretty cool, right? You know, you got, everything has built up to this very moment. Alright, so it starts out with some fireballs and some lava. It really looks like a tradition. Oh, there's a fire bar. There's more fire bars. There's some of these bone platforms. Alright, this is where the level actually gets good. The other part, it's kind of lame, not gonna lie. Especially for a final level. Basically, there's this dropping lava, and you have to stay on these falling platforms for as long as you can before going into the drink. Once you've made it to the bottom of that section, you're going to have to fight Bowser. You can fight him with fire, or you can just wait for him to jump. That also works too, but I killed him with fire here. You hit the switch, and then you're like, oh my gosh, we're going to save the princess. Oh wait, that's Kamek. So then Kamek does some crazy magic stuff, makes the screen shake a little bit, and then wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, BAM! Now you fight Fat Bowser. So basically what this happens is he throws fireballs for a bit and then destroys his own castle, and then the real Princess Peach is in the back of the room, and that's the game. That's New Super Mario Bros. Wii. That's the end. Bowser dies. Bowser is hurt. Bowser is suffering. And that's good. And then there's this cutscene which I used to like, and then I realized, well, why is Mario so mean? Luigi, no! Why? Luckily the Toads are nice, so it didn't break my heart, but still, that kind of still made me sad. Anyway, Peach, for some reason, never told us about that secret world the whole time. Like, seriously, Mario and Peach have known each other for at least 20 years. You would think something about this secret world would have been uttered and up until this point. But, whatever, that's how the game works. And then you get the credits, and then Bowser dies, and now you're in World 9, the game's secret world. Remember a while ago when I said star coins are essential to beating the game? Well, here's why they're useful. There's 8 levels in World 9, And there's 8 normal worlds in New Super Mario Bros. Wii. So if you collect all the star coins in a world, you get 1 level. Which, sure, I guess, makes sense. But none of the levels actually fit their world's themes. So that's kind of confusing. And the World 9 levels are very interesting. They remind me of average Super Mario Maker levels. 9-5 was probably my favorite of these. It's basically this giant ice thing that you have to ascend. I was going to say mountain, but this doesn't really look like a mountain. It just kind of looks like random platforms. Random ice platforms that you have to ascend. It's pretty fun, and I like it. I like snow levels, though, so that's probably why. It might sound like I'm giving World 9 a bad rap, but honestly, these are some of the most original levels in the whole game, just because they're using the special assets that I guess they didn't care to use in the normal game. Oh, and 9-7 is really hard. 9-8 is actually a pretty fun level. You got the bouncy clouds. It's basically just like a giant, like, congratulations level, but it's actually difficult, which is definitely a unique take on it, but I actually really enjoy it. Again, you still got that Mario Maker feel to it. And yeah, that's New Super Mario Bros. Wii. Is it worth the $60 or whatever dollars that it costs at your local grocery store? Even after I've said pretty bad things about it, I do think it's worth it. And regardless of what I think about this game now, it'll always be a staple part of my childhood. And over the 47 10-minute episodes that I did, I can tell you that I was having a pretty great time in most of them. Overall, I would say this is the perfect statement to end the video on. We will see you in a new frontier. No, this is stupid. This is cringe. I don't know. This gets into it. Let me know what I should say for an outro in the future. For now, I'm just gonna like be. Actually, no. I have an idea. This has been New Super Mario Bros. Wii. From start to finish, there's been highs and lows, but we've done it. We've made it through, and there were a lot of recording issues actually, but we did it. Hopefully you enjoyed. I will see you in a New Super Mario Bros. Wii ROM hack. Probably something short because I don't feel like doing another long game.